All right, it's that time, guys. It is Monkey in the Morning. I'm Monk. How are y'all doing tonight? Hope you're well. I'm all right. Uh Rough day, better night. So we fuck. I want to be petty. I want to be a jackass. I want to rip into some retards who just don't know when to shut the hell up. And maybe I'll do that later, but first we have to watch Joe Biden. I haven't watched his farewell address. In fact, I was shocked he did it a week early. So I saw he was doing it last night. I'm like, I'll stay the fuck away. Or 2 nights ago, whenever the fuck he did it. And I'll wait. We'll watch it on stream. And this is the first chance we've had since he actually did it. And I don't even know what to expect. I don't know. He's not real, okay? He's fake. Anything that he's going to stumble through here is written for him. He doesn't even know where he is. I'm almost positive that they told him he was, going to the day room, because there's no way he knows this is the Oval Office. The man has like stage 12 dementia. He's lost all of his marbles. There's none of them left. But we do cover politics around here, and we've been following the Joe saga since 2019 when he tripped his hat into the ring, and it wasn't good. I'm guessing that I wasn't guessing anything better, honestly. Now, I did see a little clip of it where he talks about the technological industrial complex. He's desperate to try to turn this into him being Truman or something. Truman famously in his final address mentions the military industrial complex and warns about them. And I see this, I'm like, oh dear God, did somebody really write that shit? So that's the only part of it I've seen. And we'll just take it as it goes. For the record, this face, I did not find this, okay? I didn't go in there and like, hey, let's find a place where Joe looks like he just shit himself and doesn't understand why. This is how it starts. You can't go back any further than this. Thank you, Snubber. So long, farewell, and amen. You just get the hell out, Joe. You haven't been there, well, for 4 years, so. Anyway, this is how he's starting, looking like he's lost as he sits in a room in the house he lives in. All right.
My fellow Americans.
Holy shit. I have my volume up way too loud for that shit. Let's try that again.
Americans. I'm speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office. Before I begin, let me speak to important...
He had to read that off the teleprompter. He had to read off the teleprompter that he's speaking to us from the... Oh, yeah, Ike. I'm sorry. I said Truman, didn't I? Eisenhower's final address with the military-industrial complex. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That was Ike. Anyway, he had to read what room he's in.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office.
Uh-huh.
Before I begin, let me speak to important news from earlier today. After 8 months...
Before you begin speaking to us, you're going to speak to us? All right, this, I'm guessing, has to be about the hostages because there's a deal worked out, kind of, between Hamas and Israel. We're over like the next, what is it, like 12 months or whatever it is, where they're going to release 40 some hostages. I forget the exact breakdown of the deal. But that was breaking right about this time. So I'm guessing that's what they're talking about, or what he's going to break in for. However, he says, I'm speaking to you from the Oval Office, but before I begin, let me speak. You should have said I'm addressing you for my farewell speech from the Oval Office. Before I do that, let's talk about this news that popped up, which it's your farewell address. There's no real reason to be bringing that up right now. You could have done a whole separate thing for that. But all right, whoever writes your speeches sucks as much as you do.
of nonstop negotiation. My administration, by my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas.
Kind of. But it wasn't because of your administration. If it was because of your administration, that shit would have happened, before Trump got elected. Look, the prevailing thought is that the reason that Hamas was like, oh yeah, we'll give them to you is because Donald Trump said this shit needs fixed before I take office or shit's gonna hit the fan. And Hamas went, this is the guy who moved the capital to Jerusalem, right? Or moved the embassy to Jerusalem, right? Yeah, maybe we shouldn't fuck with him. It had nothing to do with the Biden administration. They're ball licking off of them. Let me hold your nuts and pretend we had something to do with it. It's very much like the Carter, Reagan, Iran hostage situation. Reagan gets in there and they went, oh yeah, my bad. I didn't know we weren't supposed to take your people hostage. But anyway, last I heard, and this was earlier today, the deal is held up because Netanyahu's party doesn't want to go along with this. They've all threatened to quit if this is passed the way the deal is pushed through the way that it's written right now. We'll see. We'll see.
The elements of which I laid out in great detail in May this year.
No, you didn't.
This plan.
How you lay out this thing in May and it just happened. Never mind. I'm not even gonna go into this.
Was developed and negotiated by my team.
No, it wasn't.
And it'll be.
It was negotiated by Qatar and Egypt.
Largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be.
He has to take a shot at Trump there. That's why I told my team, because those dicks didn't do that for us. Meanwhile, your vice president wouldn't let the incoming vice president go see the Naval Observatory. Wouldn't let him child-proof the place. Wouldn't let him even come in. Do you guys know what the Naval Observatory is? It's the vice president's mansion. The name of it is the Naval Observatory. And Kamala Harris would not let JD Vance come take a tour of the building. Fucking, look, this is how it's supposed to be because we said it's supposed to be. We're not going to actually do it, though.
Working together as Americans.
Yeah.
This will be my final address to you from the American people from the Oval Office. On this desk as president.
Shio, thank you. This speechwriter sucks more than Kamala. Well, I don't know about more, but certainly on par. She's got a long track record.
And I've been thinking a lot about who we are and maybe more importantly, who we should be.
All right. Give me a 1 in chat if you think Joe's been thinking a lot about anything. Give me a 2 if you think saying Joe Biden thinks is just a fucking lie. I've been thinking a lot about this. What's my name? I get it. He's got to give his little farewell address and all that shit. But do you really have to lie to me? We've seen you try to talk. We've seen you shake hands with people who aren't there. We've seen you get lost on stage, even though they give you pictures showing you where to go. All right. Now, Joe's just been in deep philosophical thought. That's all it is.
Long ago in New York Harbor, an iron worker installed beam after beam, day after day. He was joined by steel workers, stonemasons, engineers. They built not just a single structure, but a beacon of freedom. The very idea of America was so big, we felt the entire world needed to see. The Statue of Liberty.
The gift from France that what? It was a gift from France, and we did build the base that it sits on. What is he talking about? He just suggested that an American and a whole bunch of his friends came together to build the Statue of Liberty because we wanted a beacon to show the whole world. I guess that's really important to steel workers. This is how we're starting. This is how we're starting, with him getting the origin of the Statue of Liberty wrong. Oh my God. All right. The only thing that I really wanted out of this speech was for it to be 25 minutes long exactly, just like a nod to the 25th. Honestly thought he was talking about the Empire State, but well, he said in the harbor. That's why I was pretty sure he was headed towards the Statue of Liberty. But again, we built the base for it, but it was a gift from the French, and we're like, yeah, we'll put that up over here. It'll look cool. Let's see where he's going with his flights of fancy. Okay.
A gift from France after our Civil War.
You just said we built it. I should probably start drinking.
Like the very idea of America, it was built not by one person, but by many people from every background and from around.
The very idea of America was not built by people from every background. That's not even true. I bet if you look it up, Joe, you can find that there were unless you're using like Chat GPT or some other, even Elon's Grok, and you ask them to show you the founding fathers, you'll notice in the real pictures, there's a severe lack of, how do I put this, pigmentation. No, it was old people. That's how America came to be. No, it was a bunch of old white guys who studied a whole bunch, mostly of the Roman Empire. That's where it came from. A lot of Greek, a lot of Roman. But yeah, that's where it came from. No, it was a melting pot from the beginning. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. That doesn't mean, look, again, I'm all for us coming together and everybody humping until we have just one color of skin, because I don't care about that shit. I care about the actual idea of America. But if you're going to talk about its origin, don't lie. How come you guys never, if we have to tell the truth about slavery, but you never actually tell the truth about the history? Christ, man. Every background in 19th century America. Yeah. Well, actually in 18th century America, I mean, because the founding happens in the war, 1776. All right. Anyway.
Around the world, like America, the Statue of Liberty is not standing still.
Did he watch Ghostbusters and think it was real? He like in Ghostbusters 2, the Statue of Liberty walked down the street. The Statue of Liberty is standing quite still, dude. It's a statue. And I guess he's going for metaphor here, but I can't be certain because it's Joe.
Her foot literally steps forward atop a broken chain of human bondage. She's on the march, and she literally moves.
He just said she literally moves. He did. He watched Ghostbusters. He's like, if we spray it with the pink slime, she walks. She stops Vigo the Carpathian.
She was built to sway back and forth to withstand the fury of stormy weather, to stand the test of time because storms are always coming. She sways a few inches, but she never falls into the current below. An engineering marvel. The statue.
I don't want to denigrate America here, but he's going to make me. It's not a engineering marvel. There's bigger shit that's been built, and it's just engineering, you asshole. The Empire State Building is an engineering marvel. It's just a statue. It sways. Technically, yes, but it literally moves. No. All right, where's my alcohol? Do. Yeah, I'm gonna do something I ain't done in a long time on this stream. Oh, whew. The whiskey. There we go. That should make this easier.
Statue of Liberty is also an enduring symbol of the soul of our nation. A soul shaped by forces that bring us together and by forces that pull us apart. And yet, through good times and tough times, we've withstood it all. A nation of pioneers and explorers, of dreamers and doers, of ancestors native to this land, of ancestors who came.
Well, once again, we've moved them into society, sure, I guess. But they still technically have their own nations within our borders. Right? And again, that's not to take away any achievements that Native Americans, Indians, let's call them what they are, that Indians have done. But he's trying to retroactively make America this great, big, multicultural thing that it didn't really become until the 20th century. Even, I mean, you talk about slavery. Slavery comes to an end in 1865. It's at the end of the Civil War. You get the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. And even then, it's not like there's a big integration. It's not even really until after World War II that we start treating people of color differently, like real people. You have a slow buildup to it. I mean, that's another fucking, 60 years after the Civil War? 80 years after the Civil War. My mistake. The end of World War II is 45. So 80 years later, and we're still not treating them. We should have, yes. All men are created equal, written into the Declaration. Yeah, we said it, but we didn't actually mean it or do it. And we should be. I think it's a much more powerful statement to say we were fucking it up, but it was built so that we could fix these sins of the past, and we've done that. Instead of pretending it was that way all along. Hey, you even mentioned the Civil War, jackass. Why did that happen?
Came by force. The nation of immigrants came to build a better life.
Their nation of immigrants shit needs to just stop. Just stop. We are rare in that, other than Indians, the majority population on this continent is a bunch of white Europeans. And not just white Europeans, you got some mixed in white brown ones down there in Mexico, but they're Spanish born. North America became a mini Europe, basically. It's European. I hate this man. Stop trying to sound profound. You're not Reagan. You're not Eisenhower. You're not Kennedy. You're Joe babbling Biden. You should get up here and say, I like ice cream, and leave it at that. We're not a nation of immigrants. Even if you go back to the founding of this country, right? By the time this country is founded, most of the founding fathers were born here. Most of them were, because they've been here since the 1400s. The Europeans come over in the 1400s. This is what the whole project, whatever it is, the one that teaches the alternate history, where slavery was here for 400 years. No, it was only in the States for about 100 years. But these guys, they're a nation of immigrants. How far back do you go before you stop saying immigrant? I mean, if you want to say that, then the Native Americans are immigrants because they didn't start here. Fuck. Hamilton was an immigrant. It was an American colony that he was part of. He was over, where was he at? Fuck, I forget. But it's an American or British control at the time. It's a British colony. It's one of their lands. It's not like he came over from Uruguay or anything like that. It was. I don't mean to yell at you. I'm irritated. I shouldn't be streaming. I shouldn't be watching Joe Biden. Is that him with OJ?
A nation.
I'm gonna get in trouble for that.
Holding the torch of the most powerful idea ever in the history of the world. That all of us are created equal. That all of us deserve to be treated with dignity, justice, and fairness. That democracy must defend.
Is he wearing paper clips around his arm?
Justice and fairness.
Oh, no, that's just a really ugly bracelet. Okay. Sorry.
That democracy must defend and be defined and be imposed, moved.
Democracy must be imposed. It's probably the most anti-democratic thing I've ever heard in my life. Democracy must be imposed. Well, what if we vote not to have democracy? You will have democracy because we have to.
In every way possible. Our rights, our freedoms, our dreams. But we know the idea of America, our institution, our people, our values that uphold it are constantly being tested. Ongoing debates about power and the exercise of power. But whether we lead by the example of our power or the power of our example. Whether we show the courage.
Somebody thought that was a really good line. Whether we lead by the power of our example or example of our power. That is meaningless nonsense. Thank you, Dr. Resurrect, for that feminist $12. Treated with dignity and justice, huh? So what about those J6 are still locked up, Joe? He doesn't. No, not them. Not them at all. No.
To stand up to the abuse of power.
Hang on, I stepped on him there.
But whether we lead by the example of our power or the power of our example.
Yeah.
Whether we show the courage to stand up to the abuse of power.
Like going after your political opponents with the DOJ? Should we stand up to that? Or no, let that one go? It's only if Trump does that. Hamilton was from what we call the Virgin Islands. Yes.
Or we yield to it. After 50 years at the center of all of this, I know that believing in the idea of America means respecting the institutions that govern a free society.
Bro, you had your government reaching out to try to silence people's speech on social media platforms and then pretending you had nothing to do with it. What? No, we just told them we thought they should silence you. We didn't tell them to silence you. How are you going to sit up here and tell me you care about American institutions when you were shitting on the First Amendment? You guys know me. I don't think there's any amendment as important, and specifically the free speech clause of the First Amendment. Nothing is more important in our law than that. Everything else can be dealt with as long as you can have the conversations. And this man shit all over it repeatedly. And then he got even worse. He literally used his Justice Department to not only go after Donald Trump on the federal level, he was using them to go after Donald Trump in various states. He did it. We know for a fact he was meeting with Fani Willis's man.
The presidency, the Congress, the courts.
You're a dick.
A free and independent press. Institutions that are rooted.
Wait, hang on. So, he mentions the presidency. These are the important institutions. The presidency, the Congress, the courts, and a free press. A free press. Well, one, who gets to define press? You guys do realize that's not actually defined in the Constitution, right? The right to a free press, it goes part and parcel with the free speech of all Americans? Because back in the day, a lot of people just published pamphlets. That was, I mean, the Federalist Papers. It's not like they were all in newspapers and in advice columns and shit. People would, I have a printing press. I am now a journalist. But there does seem to be a separation when they talk about journalism when it comes to, let's call them the alphabet class. And I'm not talking about LGBT here. I'm talking about ABC, NBC, the corporate media. When he's talking about the institutions, and maybe he'll go on, I did cut him off there. Maybe he'll go on and talk about, institutions like the right to bear arms. That is a uniquely American thing. The right to free speech, again, a uniquely American thing. Because all of you out there who love to go, no, we have free speech in our country too. No, you don't. We've seen it time and time again. And while we get fucked up here once in a while, at least our courts still are like, yeah, no, you can't do that. They can say what they want.
They just might not reflect the timeless words, but they echo the words of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, rooted in the timeless words of the Constitution. We, the people, our system of separation of powers, checks and balances. It may not be perfect, but it's maintained our democracy for nearly 250 years.
It bothers me when I hear an American president say that our system of government may not be perfect. Am I alone on that? Certainly it's not a perfect system because Joe got elected, but as the president of the United States, if you're going to say that, shouldn't you at least give us an alternative? I'm just asking for a friend.
Longer than any other nation in history that's ever tried such a bold experiment.
Nobody's ever tried such a bold
experiment. In the past 4 years, our democracy is held strong. And every day I've kept my commitment to be president for all Americans.
No, you don't even, you're not even president. Stop pretending. I've kept my commitment to be president for all of you when I'm not passed out and somebody else is making all the decisions for me.
Through one of the toughest periods in our nation's history.
Let's go back to that donation. What about one of the toughest periods in the nation's history? Get fucked. You were president for all Americans, including those ones who've had their rights repeatedly violated in the January 6th bullshit? I think it's going to be very easy just to point back to the January 6th people with any platitudes this asshole's going to throw out there.
For all Americans.
Uh-huh.
Through one of the toughest periods in our nation's history.
Yeah.
I've had a great partner in Vice President Kamala Harris.
Oh, are we really going to pretend that she did anything, Joe? I don't know why you're sucking up to her now. I mean, she's already lost. She's pretty much done on the national stage. What is it she accomplished, Joe? Yeah, she had the tie-breaking vote, but a monkey could have done that. What did she accomplish? I had a great partner. Your partner's Jill, buddy. Kamala is your vice president, and she didn't do shit because that's what vice presidents do. Nothing.
It's been the honor of my life to see the resilience of essential workers getting us through a once-in-a-century pandemic.
That's the honor of your life, not your children or your grandchildren? That's kind of weird, man. We here in the United States, we've got this weird thing that's been going on the last, probably since the invention of the television, if we're being honest, where we put way too much emphasis on politics and the people who do it. Like, you can't like, go criticize Trump on Twitter and watch, even if it's valid criticism, watch the number of people like, oh my God, you're the worst person ever. And then criticize Biden and see how many people, oh my God, you're the worst person ever. How could you say that about him? We're not even allowed to point out real things anymore. Like, I could go over to Twitter right now and go, Joe Biden's hair is thin. And people are like, you fucking maggot. You maggot. You only say that because you're sucking off Donald Trump. Like, no, his hair's literally thinning. You can see it. But we put so much emphasis on these people. This man just said the honor of his life. Do you know when Thomas Jefferson died, on his tombstone, there's 3 accomplishments listed? Being president isn't one of them. He's the 3rd president of the United States. 3 major accomplishments. And being president wasn't one of them, because this wasn't supposed to be this venerated fucking thing. This wasn't supposed to be our king. He wasn't ever supposed to be the most powerful man on the planet. He's supposed to be a figurehead. The federal government's not even supposed to have the kind of power that this asshole wields. It's the honor of my life, not your wife. It was other people working, because he didn't even take credit for it. It's not like getting us through this pandemic. It was watching these people get us through this pandemic. That was the honor of your life. God damn, man. No wonder poor little Navy don't get no love.
The heroism of service members and first responders keeping us safe. The determination of advocates standing up for our rights and our freedoms.
If he talks about abortion, I am going to turn this off. No, I won't. I'll leave it on. I'll be good. But standing up for our rights and our freedoms. Again, January 6th, I mean, you guys have violated the right to a speedy trial. You violated, by your own rules, cruel and unusual punishment. Punishment that doesn't fit the crime. You guys have just completely shit all over that. The only rights you guys ever talk about is voting rights, where you guys can go in and fudge the voting so that shit can go the way you want it to. Or when you're talking about killing babies. That's the only time you guys want rights, or the only time you care about rights. Get fucked, Joe.
Instead of losing their jobs to an economic crisis.
No, instead, lose your job because you won't get an experimental jab. No, you didn't do that to people, did you, Joe? The crisis was man-made, okay? Let's just be honest about what happened with the economic crisis that he just mentioned. For reasons nobody can explain, we decided to handle this pandemic differently than we've handled any pandemic in history. We've never done this before. We've never locked everything down because of a pandemic. We never forced people to stay 6 feet apart. We didn't shut down businesses in 1919. When the Spanish flu comes through, yes, places that got sick, really, really sick, were under quarantine for a little while, and then they're like, yeah, go get your ass to work. We shut down the economy, and they shut down the economy to, yes, exactly, Randall. They did it to hurt Trump, because they knew that if the economy was fine, Trump gets reelected, and there's not even a way to cheat it. They could not have cheated it if the economy was fine. So whether you believe the election was rigged or not, they had to have a bad economy. Democrats did this. They absolutely did it. And they did it for purely political reasons. And this little motherfucker is going to sit here and these people were suffering, and I fixed it for them. You did it, asshole. Or at least your party did.
That we inherited millions of Americans.
Yeah.
Now have the dignity of work. Millions of entrepreneurs and companies.
Wait. The dignity of work. Are you saying people without jobs don't have dignity? You might want to be careful with that, because your little commie friends will get a little upset about that. You got no dignity if you ain't got a job. Not a very lefty thing to say there, JoJo.
Creating new businesses and industries, hiring American workers, using American products. Together, we've launched a new era of American possibilities. One of the greatest modernizations of infrastructure in our entire history.
There's been no real modernization of our infrastructure. What are you talking about? You mean the 4 people who can plug their cars in now?
From new roads, bridges, clean water.
Remember when Joe went to talk about bridges and that bridge fell? Joe just showing up made shit go bad. It's like when Al Gore goes anywhere to give a speech on global warming and there's always a snowstorm. The bridges are all better now. They're all good. Mayor Pete, when he wasn't breastfeeding his child, was out there hammering away, fixing the bridges.
Internet for every American.
Wait, what did he just say?
Clean water, affordable high-speed internet for every American.
Did they actually write into this speech him taking credit for the high-speed internet that literally nobody's got, that we spent $87 billion on? Or is it 46 billion? I think it's 46 billion. 46 billion. But we all have affordable internet now, do we? Huh. I can't believe they had the balls to put that in here. I mean, he wants to take credit for everything that passed under his leadership. But seriously, nobody's gotten any internet from that. Why would they put that in here?
We invented the semiconductor, smaller than the tip of my little finger. And now it's bringing those chip factories and those jobs back to America where they belong, creating thousands of jobs.
Have any of those chip factories been made yet? Does anybody, and I'm being serious here, I don't know about any of the, I know that when they were talking about this, they were telling us that to build these buildings, because of the way they have to be built, it takes a decade. So where are they all? Thank you, Frank. Does Flint have clean water now? I honestly don't know. They don't talk about Flint very often. Devin, thank you. In a very good place with my new girlfriend, so I decided to share the wealth. Also, we aren't a democracy, Joe. Yeah, we're not a direct democracy. We are a republic, but in fairness, we do most of our choosing of leaders democratically. It's a representative democracy, but it is still, I don't get in that fight very often. The only time I really do is when people start talking about wanting direct democracy, because that should never happen. The Electoral College is important. But I get what you guys say when you say that, excuse me. But the truth is, I mean, most of our leaders are chosen democratically. Okay, I don't want to say that, because most of the people who actually lead us are unelected shitbags who are picked by the president and then hired in. But the ones that are, our Senate, our House, our president, governors, state houses, the AGs in your states, these are all democratically elected.
Finally, giving Medicare the power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices for millions of seniors. And finally, doing something to protect our children and our families by passing the most significant gun safety law in 30 years.
What was the most significant gun safety law in 30 years? I feel like I should have heard about this. I feel like I should know something about that.
And bringing violent crime to a 50-year low.
This is another thing you guys should know. That is an absolute lie. Violent crime, 50-year low. That is not true. And this has already been debunked because it goes based on reporting from states and stuff. And a whole bunch of states just didn't report. A lot of shit was underreported. There was a report that came out 3 or 4 months ago now that told us, yeah, that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit.
Meeting our sacred obligation to over 1 million veterans so far who are exposed to toxic materials, and to their families, providing medical care and education benefits and more. for their families. You know, it will take time to feel the full impact of all we've done together.
No, we saw the inflation in 2022. It took less than a year for your shit to cause massive problems that we still haven't recovered from.
But the seeds are planted, and they'll grow and they'll bloom for decades to come. At home, we've created nearly 17 million new jobs, more than any other single.
No, you didn't. Not that. All right, let's talk about this. They tell us that Donald Trump cost us 12 million jobs, right? So even if we take this 17 million, which by the way is not true, it's 16 million. The first 12 million of that aren't new jobs. It was letting people go back to work. Now, if you want to take the other 4 million and say that those were jobs that were created under you, fine, we can say that. However, that means that on average, less than 100,000 jobs were created each month for the 4 years that you were president. In order to hit 100,000 each year, it's 1.2 million or 4.8 million over that. And most economists tell you need at least 150,000 new jobs each month to have a thriving economy. To have just a good economy, 150,000, and you averaged less than 100. This is the kind of shit that you will hear on the news. You'll see it on Twitter and on Facebook. People go, he created 16 million new jobs. The fuck he did. And even if we give him credit for jobs that didn't exist, let's say Joe did it all. It is so bad that if you take away the COVID jobs coming back, his economic policy, whether you're talking about employment or you're talking about inflation, would be the laughing stock of American history. Whoops, I'm not clicked on the right thing. There we go.
Single administration, single term. More people have health care than ever before. And
then why are you guys bitching about health costs all the time? Why do we need more? More people have it than ever. Okay, then everything's fixed now, right? That's what you told us would happen.
We've strengthened NATO. Ukraine is still free.
Is it?
We pulled ahead of our competition with China. So much more.
Wait, we pulled ahead with our competition with China. That's kind of vague, isn't it? Which competition with China, Joe? Economic, military. Last I knew, they had hypersonic missiles and we didn't. What are you talking about exactly? This vague shit. we beat them in checkers. They were playing Chinese checkers and we switched to regular checkers, which I can still manage. And I beat Winnie the Pooh in a best out of 3 competition.
I'm so proud of how much we've accomplished together for the American people.
Uh-huh.
And I wish the incoming administration success because I want America to succeed.
I love that they're forced into doing this. They've been such shitbags about any criticism of them that they're like, no, we want the best for Donald Trump. Oh my God. Oh. We've had hypersonic flight since the 50s and we have hypersonic missiles. We're not getting into that right now. This is a what would be 7th generation? Is that what we're on missiles? We've discussed it before.
That's why I've held my duty to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition of power, to ensure we lead by the power of our example.
Are you going to steal all the T's off the keyboards like they did to W?
I have no doubt that America is in a position to continue to succeed. That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern.
I have no doubt we're going to succeed, but let me scare the shit out of you. Oh, fuck. Democrats can't help themselves with this shit.
This is a dangerous concentration, and that's a dangerous concentration of power in the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people.
Is he using his farewell address to go in on Elon? All right.
The dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked.
They have no power. Elon Musk has no power. You might say, well, he has Trump's ear. Yeah, but Trump can tell him to go fuck himself anytime he wants. He's the president. But okay, let's hear.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme.
Oh God. Who taught Joe the word oligarchy? These are people who have been funded by a billionaire for years, for decades even, and who've always been funded by big money. But suddenly, since it's people, they did this with the Koch brothers, remember, with George W. And now it's Elon. He supported Trump. Fucking oligarchs. It's kind of funny that the oligarch wants to give people more freedom by getting government out of their lives. I mean, I guess you could still technically be an oligarch and that be your goal, I guess. But typically when we say it, it's for their own concentrated power, not to, let everybody be free.
Extreme wealth, power, and influence. It literally threatens our entire democracy.
You don't get to talk about that when George Soros is your sugar daddy. And what's his kid's name? The new one who's running around going to ruin the world? You don't get to sit here and preach to me about how bad billionaires are when your presidential candidate was able to raise $1 billion in 3 months. Don't tell me that shit was all done on small donations. It was all $10 donations from grandmas. Let's see, $1 billion. So that means 10 million grandmas. No, 100 million grandmas sent us $10 each. 100 million grandmas. Yeah, everybody in the United States is a grandma. And they all gave money to us. Oh, fuck. Thank you, Dark Resurrect, for that feminist $12. Or let's talk about oligarchy. How's that Soros funding going? Yeah, no. They don't give a shit about oligarchy. They don't care about rich. This is why anytime we got to get money out of politics. These fuckers don't believe that shit. It's just another one of their talking points. I saw a picture today of Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama walking together, laughing and having a good time. And it said, Justin, these guys have decided they're not going to the inauguration. Do you remember the kind of shit these guys have said about each other and their little surrogates have said about each other? But suddenly they're all bestest of friends. Did I ever tell you guys why I stopped voting major party? It was George W. Bush who did it. George W. Bush gets into office and puts a tariff on foreign steel. I worked at a machine shop at the time, and we used a lot of foreign steel. And we didn't use foreign steel because it was cheaper. We used foreign steel because it was better. And if you're in the steel milling America, you guys need to fucking fix your shit. It's gross. And Bush did this as a payback to steel workers and to try to suck up to them. He puts this tariff in place that harmed the business I was in. And we had to start using inferior American steel. And it was at that point I realized it does not matter which of these assholes get into office. They're all going to do the same thing. I saw a news report that Obama, Clinton, and Bush aren't showing up to the inauguration. Yeah, that's why I saw the picture. If you pay attention to these assholes, there's never a pullback. No matter what they say on the campaign trail. This is why we see the rhinos, right? Everybody calls them rhinos. Now, those are the real Republicans. They're not Republican in name only. They're just liars when they campaign. They're all still heading the same way. And this is why that's why I'm like, no, I'm not voting for any of these fuckers anymore, because they're all the same dirty fucking party. And the one exception to that has been Trump. Now, Trump has his own agenda, which is still a little far left for me. But he's the only one that's bucked the system because he's the only one that didn't come up through the system. And it's why they fucking hate him so much. He didn't pay his dues. He didn't come up as a card-carrying state assemblyman and then a governor or a senator and then get to the president. No. He did it. He just went, fuck it, I want to be president. And you don't get to do that. You don't get to do that because the real powers that be, the people running all of the different cabinet positions and shit, those are the people who really control things. That's why them losing the Chevron deference hurt them so much, because that's where the real power in DC is. These are the people who get to tell the president to go fuck himself. And Donald Trump's like, no, you don't get to tell me that. I'm the president. These guys all line up to do it. You said they might have the greatest rhetoric you ever heard. They might tell you the best story you ever heard. But when they get into office, once they take that oath, what they're really taking an oath to is the status quo. I don't even know what kicked off that fucking rant, but that's the reality of our political world.
Basic rights and freedoms and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead.
Fair shot for everyone to get ahead with equity or equality, Joe? Because equity doesn't give everybody a fair chance. Thank you, Evolved Potato. Recently, our prime minister was talking about charging Elon with interfering with Australian politics because he's a foreigner. Meanwhile, he's perfectly fine with meeting with Soros or letting Bill Gates use my state as an experiment for his mosquitoes. Yeah, you don't hear them bitch about the power of Bill Gates. They were pumping that man up during the pandemic, remember? We need to listen to this guy. Get fucked, Joe. Thank you for that donation. They don't actually give a shit about oligarchy or any of that shit. They just care about their own fucking power.
We see the consequences all across America.
Consequences.
And we've seen it before. More than a century ago. But the American people stood up to the robber barons back then and busted the trusts. They didn't punish the wealthy. Just made the wealthy play by the rules everybody else had. Workers want rights to earn their...
What is Elon doing that nobody else can do? He's going to get into some union bullshit here in a second. Did you guys see what Bernie Sanders proposed on, I think it was on Christmas Eve? And then Democrats that work for the Hill, or that work on the Hill up in the Capitol, Democrat, not the senators and Congress people, but the ones who work for them, they all went, we don't want to work more than 32 hours a week. Do you remember the big hubbub just a little bit ago about H-1B visas and me telling you about how fucking lazy Americans are? Yes, H-1Bs have been misused. So we stop the misuse and we prosecute those who are doing it wrong. But how can you sit here and tell me that Americans aren't fucking lazy when you have our lawmakers, the people who work for the lawmakers, going, I just can't work 40 hours a week. That just leaves me way more time than that at home. If you take your sleep, average sleep, 8 hours a night, and add it into your work day, that's 16 hours. That leaves 8 hours a day. You have just as much time off work as you do on. And some people go, but I have to drive to work. Yeah, but then you get 2 extra days. 2 extra days where you don't work at all. You have more time away from work, by a lot actually, than you do working. And these people are like, I just can't. I need one more day off. It's just too stressful. I know that back during the Great Depression, people would work any job they could for as long as they could so they could get ahead. But me, I need a good work-life balance. And if I don't get it, I might have to have a second frappe. I'm just so sick of this shit. People are so goddamn lazy.
They play by the rules everybody else had.
All right, go ahead.
Workers want rights to earn their fair share.
They have the right to earn their fair share, fucker. You even have a federal minimum wage, and most states have a wage way above that as their minimum. You working for somebody does not entitle you to their portion of the profit. You want that? Start your own company.
You know, they were dealt into the deal and helped put us on a path to building the largest middle class, most prosperous century any nation in the world has ever seen.
Have you guys paid attention to the union stuff that's been going on lately? What was the one that they just settled? Unions aren't looking to just stay where they were or do a little bit better than they had been. These assholes asked for like 15% raises. I need 15% raises, or I just can't do the job because inflation is 3% now, Joe, and I need 15% year over year for the next 6 years. Unions push themselves out of business. You know why all these companies went overseas? Because it became too goddamn expensive between unions and regulations to do business in America. That is the simple fucking fact. But they always want to blame it's the rich people. The rich people just want to be rich. No, the rich people want to keep making money, sure. And in order to do that, they had to, take it overseas so that they could still do business. And then you're like, how dare you guys be doing this overseas?
We've got to do that again.
Do we?
The last 4 years, that's exactly what we've done.
No, you haven't.
People should be able to make as much as they can.
People should be able to make as much as they can. But if you do, we're going to take it. Wait, he's going to use the term fair share, isn't he?
But play by the same rules. Pay their fair share.
There it is. Pay their fair share. The bottom 90% of taxpayers pay like 5% of all taxes. That's it. The bottom 90%, about 5 to 10%. The top 5% pay like almost half of all taxes. And that's not enough. No. Because Joe doesn't think that that's your fair share. When they say fair share, what they mean is we should be able to take as much money from you as we want, and you should just suck it. That's what they mean. Thank you, Michael. Monkey, I do not care if Americans are lazy. They can't be replacing American labor with labor from other countries. H-1B is for filling jobs Americans can't do, not fill jobs with foreigners the employers can abuse. I have not seen, and maybe I've just missed them, stories of H-1B visa holders being abused. The average wage for an H-1B holder is like $120,000 a year. Fucking abuse me. Now, look, again, we saw it with Disney where they kicked people out who had the jobs. But that's not the same as what we're talking about here, because that is a blatant misuse of the system. But the narrative that emerged, how dare Elon suggest Americans are lazy? They are. And you cannot care that they are, but how many of them do you employ? If I have a choice between some guy who's going to work 40 hours, the hardest he fucking can, because he really wants to have his job, he really wants to do well for the company, or the fucking fat ass who's coming in late and tells me he needs a whole nother day off each week, or he's just going to have a mental breakdown, I'm going with the foreigner. And how about maybe instead of going, we need to get rid of H-1Bs, we start injecting into America pride again. That's 120,000 is 30K less than they'd give an American. Based on what? Show me the data. I'll look at it. But it's amazing to me how many of us, nobody disagreed with me when I called millennials lazy. Nobody had a problem with that. But how dare I suggest that maybe we should go to foreign workers because Americans won't do the job. Not that they can't, they won't. And again, yes, exceptions like the Disney thing exist, but they're not the norm. They're just not. Anyway.
Taxes. So much is at stake. Right now, the existential threat of climate change.
Oh, fuck off. I'm going to let him finish that because I heard what he was just about to say. All right.
Right now, the existential threat of climate change has never been clearer. Just look across.
He meant to say clearer, and he just said the existential crisis of climate change has never been clear. The way he said it is actually true. Climate change isn't real, y'all. Not in the man-made, what they call AWG, or AGW. I always forget, but man-made global warming. Frank, thank you so much. I have mixed feelings with unions. I'm in one. I know many who are in others. I've seen the pros and cons, but your example here isn't fair. We've had at least 16% inflation over the last 4 years. Asking for your wage to be brought to match is fair. All right. Just do this, Frank, okay? If you can, go back and look at your union and the raises that have been negotiated and see how many of them match inflation and how many of them jump right the fuck over it. Because even the ones that I'm talking about, we had, again, we're using the same inflation numbers. So say 13% is about where it tops out in 2022. 13% inflation. And this deal, the one that I was just seeing, that I just saw, they had a request for at least 3 years with 15% raises. That's, I don't know if you know how to do math, but that's a 45% increase. The first 2 years were slower than that. But anyway, Michael, thank you. Forgot all caps. First off, there's no job an American won't do. Bullshit. Second, it is objectively evil to hold someone's status as a legal resident over their head to get them to work the hours they do. No, it's not. It's an agreement they make. Yeah, I'm going to go over there, and why wouldn't they work hard to keep it? Should we, and I'm not trying to be mean here, Michael, but should we just go, all right, you can come in to do this job, and if you do a shitty job, no big deal. You get to stay because you got this. We can have, when did standards become a bad thing? I mean, they're here on the condition that they have this job, and if they do the job poorly, why should they get to stay? Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're trying to say to me, but it really does feel like you're saying is if you get a visa, you should just be allowed to stay no matter how shitty you are. And I'm not talking criminally, because that's definitely a different thing. But, you know, like you get a work visa and you suck at your job, so they fire you. But maybe McDonald's will pick you up. Where are we? You guys are throwing tons of stuff. I've really pissed you all off. Annoyingly sober kitten, thank you. Glorious and beautiful Athena, can we have Trump re-entering the White House? Carry a sink, please. I really hope he comes in with a sink. I really do. Or that Elon, when he gets to his Doge office, has one. I'm hoping for that. Frank, thank you so much. I also know a guy in IT, non-union, who is here from India on a H-1B. He's making good money, over 6 figures, but makes half of what his American-born workers make. Also, my union sucks. We've never kept up with inflation. The last 2 years is the closest. How much, again, there's going to be, he's making 6 figures. He's making half of what other people do. What is the experience difference there? What is the time in the company there? I mean, those do matter too. And maybe he's got just as much experience and he's been there twice as long as everyone else. Again, I'm not saying nobody abuses the system, but I am saying the abuse of the system has been grossly overstated. All right. Thank you, Michael. Look, get this off my screen. There we go. The answer is don't bring them in the first place. If you say so, how are you going to deal with lowering population numbers? And yes, is that a problem right now? No, it's one that's coming very quickly. And it's one that many Asian countries are dealing with right now. Especially China has a problem because they had the one-child policy for so long. They didn't replace the workers that they needed to replace, and they're suffering for it right now. Unless you're going to go to child labor, that's not something you can fix in a decade. That's at least a 2-decade fix. Anyway.
Across the country, from California to North Carolina. That's why.
Neither California nor North Carolina are suffering because of climate change. That's just bullshit. If you actually go out there and look, using their own science, we are at a historic low change of weather patterns, like eerily steady. But because it bounces just a little bit, yeah, that's called the seasons, you fucking idiots. Some years are a little bit hotter, some years are a little bit colder. No, it's just getting so hot. I really wish we could all go back to, say, I don't know, 11,000 years ago and just push everybody there and watch them freak out over how hot the planet's getting. It's getting so hot. Did you see all the glaciers melted off North America? Oh my God. Somebody must have been using the SUV and had the air conditioner on in it. Environmentalism is commie propaganda, and so is global warming. Yes, keep the rivers and lakes clean. Yes, keep the air clean. But the nonsense of global warming, we're all going to die, is bullshit. It's been bullshit for 40 fucking years.
Signed the most significant climate and clean energy law ever.
You mean the thing you called the Inflation Reduction Act that you then later admitted was basically the Green New Deal? Yeah, we know, Joe, and we're all going to suffer for it.
In the history of the world, and the rest of the world is trying to model it now. It's working.
No, it's not.
Creating jobs and
if it's working, how come there's the wildfires you just told me are an example? It's working. But we just burned down California and washed away part of North Carolina. But it's working.
Industries of the future.
Uh-huh.
Now, we've proven we don't have to choose between protecting the environment and growing the economy.
Well, yeah, actually you didn't, because all of that is government subsidized. And if you let it work on its own, it would fail. But sure, if that's how you want. As long as you steal other people's money to make it work, then it'll work. Sure.
We're doing both. The powerful forces want to wield their unchecked influence to eliminate the steps we've taken to tackle the climate crisis.
The climate crisis?
Their own interest.
You said climate crisis. Ah. Little Xi Jinping snuck in there. The climate crisis.
For power and profit. We must not be bullied into sacrificing the future.
Did somebody preaching global warming just say we must not be bullied? For real? Hey, Joe, what happens to a scientist if they say, I have some questions about this? What happens to them? Fuck, what happened when scientists piped up and said, I think you guys are not paying attention to what's really going on with COVID here? Your head of the NIH used one of his buddies to smear the dude, to ruin his career. Your side is the one that bullied a dude who landed a probe on a moving fucking comet because he was wearing a shirt with girls on it that was given to him by a woman. We can't give in to the bullying. We can't. Don't let people bully you because we're doing it. Get fucked.
Future of our children and our grandchildren. Must keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
And push faster.
Progress.
There's no time to waste.
Yes, there is.
It's also clear that American leadership in technology is an unparalleled source of innovation that can transform lives.
Did you guys see the SpaceX rocket that blew up today? It was actually pretty cool. So they were doing a test launch, and the rocket itself did fine, but the vehicle, they think it had was it an oxygen leak? I think it was, and yeah, it just blew up. And they have it on video as it's crashing to Earth in a million different little pieces. The rocket came back down to Earth perfectly and got caught again, but he's here shitting on Elon. Just like to point out, whether you think Elon's responsible for it or not, yeah, American technology is doing great, but it's not. It's another thing that's largely being subsidized.
We see the same dangers of the concentration of technology, power, and wealth. You know, his farewell address, President Eisenhower spoke of the dangers.
Oh my God. I didn't realize he actually invoked Eisenhower before he says it. Oh, shit. Eisenhower's warning about the military industrial complex. We're coming out of World War II, getting into Korea. You have a big push for American military spending. And he had a point. He did. What this idiot is about to drool through. Oh, fuck.
Complex. He warned us then about, and I quote, the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power, end of quote.
Yes, talking about the military industrial complex, talking about the possibility of a military rule over our country. He wasn't talking about Elon Musk owns Twitter.
6 decades later, I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well.
Whoever wrote this speech thought this was a great line and thought that this would become, a catchphrase, and like literally nobody's using it other than to mock it. There's nobody out there worried about the tech industrial complex. We see this with, at least this time they're admitting they're just straight stealing. I mean, we saw this with his speech that he gave honoring the end of World War II, where he tried to do the Reagan thing. You're not these people, and your speechwriters aren't their speechwriters. You're just bad at this. How much longer is it? 7 more minutes.
Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation.
You were just talking about climate change. You don't get to talk about misinformation after that.
Enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing.
What do you mean the free press is crumbling? People, okay, let's for a moment, just for a moment, agree that people are being buried in an avalanche of mis and disinformation. How does that stop the press? If anything, that shows that there's more free press than ever. Because in the past, that shit would be censored. Not the way that we think of censored. It was censored because we only had a few outlets that were giving us our information. And they all got together and we're only going to talk about X, Y, and Z. Nobody mentioned A, B, and C. So all that shit was censored. Never before in the history of man have we had the ability to share information like we do right now. And anybody can do it. The press is crumbling. No, the corporate press is crumbling. The legacy media is getting their asses kicked because over and over again, people are waking up to just how bad they are at their job, just how much of a shill they are for your party and your party alone. Well, in fairness, it's not actually for their party. It's for the communists, but, you know.
Social media is giving up on fact-checking.
No, they're not. No, they're not. That is a lie. You just spread misinformation. Because if you look at what Mark Zuckerberg actually said, because that's who he's talking about, he said they're going to go to a community notes thing like Twitter does, or X. I'm just clarifying the X in case people go looking. He didn't say Twitter, monkey. Anyway, he said they're going to use the community note program like they're doing over at Twitter. The community note program at Twitter requires the community note to have, wait for it, sources. So that, let's say Joe Biden says, hey, they're stopping fact checking. Then somebody can go over to Twitter where you say this stupid shit and put a note on there and says, no, actually, he said they're going to have to do it like they do over here on X, where there has to be a source for this, and here's the source. They're making it seem like if you don't have shitbags from a liberal group tell you what the truth is, there's no truth. Which isn't true.
The truth is smothered by lies.
Nobody knows that more than a Democrat, because it's what they do. Vivek actually thinks that America lacks motivated talent, and his Alzheimer medication is also real. America does lack motivated talent. I don't know what you guys have seen over the last decade, but I can show you a chick crying because she had to serve coffee for 8 hours.
Toll for power and for profit. We must hold the social platforms accountable.
To what?
To protect our...
To what? He's talking about censorship. All right.
Our children, our families, and our very democracy from the abuse of power. Meanwhile, artificial intelligence is the most consequential technology of our time, perhaps of all time.
I mean, for learning, I would give you that. And it is going to eventually have a lot of issues when it comes to employment as people move to it. I have a feeling humans will figure out a way to deal with that.
Nothing offers more profound possibilities and risks for our economy and our security, our society, for humanity. Artificial intelligence even has the potential to help us answer my call to end cancer as we know it.
You said you did that already. Didn't he say that? I swear he said that.
But unless safeguards are in place, AI could spawn new threats to our rights, our way of life, to our privacy.
I mean, I guess I could write a dystopian book where AI took away my rights, but the reality of that is no, AI can't do that. Not here in America. It'll take people voting on that shit.
How we work and how we protect.
My cancer's not cured. You should ask Joe for a rebate, Eagle.
Protect our nation. We must make sure AI is safe and trustworthy.
I guess I need to know what he means by safe. And as far as trustworthy, I don't really care if AI is trustworthy. I don't trust anything. I am a skeptical motherfucker. I look up everything. And for the record, I've already caught Grok being wrong. Because again, it's just a computer program. And it will go where it's told to go.
And good for all humankind. In the age of AI, it's more important than ever that the people must govern.
But not if they say the wrong things on Twitter, right?
And as the land of liberty, America not China, must lead the world in the development of AI. In the years ahead, it'll help to be, it's going to be up to the president, the presidency, the Congress, the courts, the free press, and the American people to confront these powerful forces. We must reform the tax code, not by giving the biggest tax cut.
That came out of nowhere, didn't it? It's going to be up to y'all to fight AI. We have to reform the tax code. Who wrote this shit?
We must reform the tax code, not by giving the biggest tax cuts to billionaires, but by making them begin to pay their fair share.
They already pay their fair share. Stop saying that stupid shit.
We need to get dark money. That's that hidden funding behind too many campaigns contributions.
You mean like the $1 billion that your partner made in 3 months? Okay, all seriousness. How many of you believe, and I'm not joking. How many of you believe that that's a Joe thing, right? I'm not kidding. How many of you think that Kamala Harris raised $1 billion and all of it was from these small donors who are all happen to be named Joe Smith, and when asked, say, I didn't make that donation? How many of you does anybody believe that? Does anybody believe that Kamala didn't get her $1 billion from billionaires? That they were writing checks for millions of dollars, or what they were really doing is pulling names from voter rolls and making donations in the names of these people? Because there's a $2,800 limit. I think it's still $2,800 limit to go directly to a candidate. And so what they do is they bundle a whole bunch of small ones together and say, look, they were all small donations. Except for the people who supposedly donated don't know that they donated. Wasn't that Act Blue? Act Blue was doing it, but I guarantee you that there was bundling going on in other Democratic fundraising too, because they've been doing it forever. This is what happened to Bill Clinton. They were bundling foreign money, Chinese money specifically, into the Clinton campaign.
We need to get it out of our politics. We need to enact an 18-year time limit, time and term, for the strongest ethics and the strongest ethics reforms for our Supreme Court.
Why do they need an 18-year limit? You know why he wants the 18-year limit? Because it guarantees that you'll get the people who will destroy our country. Because when it comes to destroying our country from within, the place that's going to happen is the Supreme Court. That's where because the Supreme Court is the stopgap. The Supreme Court uses powers that they weren't actually given. And frankly, we need to change the Constitution to give them the power that they have. But the way that we use them is the way it's supposed to be, or the way it should be, because they are our last line of defense. It's the last line of people who go, no, that's too far. You went too far on this. No. And when that is gone, if Hillary gets elected instead of Donald Trump, your free speech rights are gone. Your hate speech will no longer be allowed. And that's coming because Donald Trump won't be president forever. Even if JD gets elected, he might serve 4 years because we have this cycle that we go through where we can't put up with these guys for that long from one party. And so what's going to happen? They want it so that he said 18 years or 16 years or whatever it was he said. That's 4 terms. And if you look at the cycle, pretty much means the Democrats will be the ones picking them all the time.
We need to ban members of Congress from trading stock while they're in the Congress.
Took a shot at Nancy there. Oof.
We need to amend the Constitution to make clear that no president is immune from crimes that he or she commits while in office. The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute. It shouldn't.
And again, if you read the ruling, look, I'm not a big fan of that ruling because it's going to have to be litigated out and stuff. But if the president believes what he's doing is right, it's kind of the what's the term they use for when police do it? If he believes he's doing the right thing, like for instance, let's use Trump, because that's what this is all about. If Trump honestly believes, and there's no reason not to think that he does, or that he doesn't, if he honestly believes that the election was stolen, he had a duty to do everything he could to keep it from coming to pass. And he didn't even do that. He didn't turn the military loose. He did it all legal. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. He did it all legally. What about January 6th? Trump didn't do that. Stop it. There does need to be some wiggle room there. There should be qualified immunity. Thank you. That's the term I was trying to think of. The president should have a form of qualified immunity, because they have to make decisions on the fly many times. And again, sometimes people are just wrong. And it's what a reasonable person would think. That's what qualified immunity comes down to, reasonable people. And it's been overblown to like, Trump can do whatever he wants to. He can kill people. No, he can't. No, he can't. That's not what the law actually says, or the decision.
And in a democracy, there's another danger.
Is there?
To the concentration of power and wealth.
Tell me about it.
It erodes a sense of unity and common purpose. It causes distrust and division.
What is it?
Participating in our democracy becomes exhausting and even disillusioning.
When?
People don't feel like they have a fair shot.
Oh.
We have to stay engaged in the process. I know it's frustrating.
What you're talking about is sore losers. You're talking about all of your little Democrats who are right now going, I'm not voting anymore because it doesn't even matter.
Fair shot is what makes America America. Everyone's entitled to a fair shot, not a guarantee, but just a fair shot, an even playing field, going as far as your hard work and talent can take you. We can never lose that essential truth, remain who we are. I've always believed, and I've told other world leaders, America can be defined by one word: possibilities.
Oh God, he loves that talking point.
Only in America do we believe anything is possible. Like a kid with a stutter from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Son of a bitch. We're ending his presidency on he has a stutter. Hate me, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate it. He had to bring up the stutter. Okay, all right.
Pennsylvania, Claremont, Delaware, sitting behind this desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States.
Hey, Joe, without looking it up, what's the name of that desk? I'll give you $1 if you can tell me.
That's the magic of America. It's all around us.
For the record, I do want, if I ever get rich, one thing I will have in my house is an exact replica of the Resolute desk. I think it's gorgeous. I really do.
Upstairs in the residence of the White House, I've walked by a painting of the Statue of Liberty, I don't know how many times. In the painting, there's several workers climbing on the outstretched arm of the statue that holds the torch. It reminds me every day I pass it of the story and soul of our nation.
The story and soul of our nation is guys climbing on the arm of the Statue of Liberty. I'm trying to get the metaphor here. It's men climbing on women without permission. I don't understand what he's trying to say.
And the power of the American people. There's a story of a veteran. This is a veteran, son of an immigrant, whose job was to climb that torch and polish the amber panes so rays of light could reach out as far as possible.
Does the Statue of Liberty actually light up? Honest to God, I don't know. I've never paid that much attention. Does it actually light up? And never mind.
He was known as the keeper of the flame. He once said of the Statue of Liberty, quote, speaks the silent universal language.
No, it doesn't light up. So never mind.
One of hope that anyone who seeks and speaks freedom can understand. Yes, we sway back and forth to withstand the fury of the storm, to stand the test of time. A constant struggle, a short distance between peril and possibility. But what I believe is the America of our dreams is always closer than we think. It's up to us to make our dreams come true. Let me close by stating my gratitude to so many people, to the members of my administration, as well as public service and first responders across the country and around the world. Thank you for stepping up to serve. To our service members and your families, it's been the highest honor of my life to lead you as Commander-in-Chief.
Unless you're, slowing him down when he wants to do other shit as your body's coming home from him getting you killed.
And of course, to Kamala and our incredible partner, historic Vice President.
Did he say my, or did she say, did he just say her historic partner?
She and Doug have become like family.
Yeah, he did. You're now praising a woman-beating cheater. I thought you guys were against that. You've been bitching about Hegseth for a while.
To me, family's everything.
Hey, Joe, go in your wallet and pull out a picture of Navy. Show me how much family means to you, you fucking shitbag. Oh, God damn.
My deepest appreciation to our amazing First Lady who was with me in the Oval today. For our entire family. You're the love of my life and the life of my love.
Again, 4 little letters for you. Navy. For those who don't know why that's funny, that is his bastard grandchild that's not allowed to use the Biden name because it's a black eye to his legacy. That his crackhead of a son knocked up a stripper.
My eternal thanks to you, the American people. After 50 years of public service, I give you my word. I still believe in the idea for which this nation stands. Nation where the strengths of our institution.
I half expected him to go into the Pledge of Allegiance there. Thank you, Mighty Balzac. Is it just me or is Biden full of shit? It's not just you.
The character of our people matter. It must endure.
All right.
Now it's your turn to stand guard.
Get fucked.
May you all be the keeper of the flame. May you keep the faith. I love America. You love it too. God bless you all. May God protect our troops. Thank you for this great honor.
No, God bless America. Have you noticed that the Democrats don't say that? They have, at least God bless the troops. Some of them will say that. He says, God bless you, and may God bless our troops. What about God bless America?
My fellow.
Whoops. You believe in God, not me, homie. So it's weird that you don't want God to bless this country. You just told me it's in such peril because Elon Musk tweets. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's the last we're going to hear of Joseph R. Biden until we have to hear about him dying in a couple of months. I will be honest. I thought that they were going to force him out about halfway through. And I still think that was the plan. And then they realized, no, Kamala Harris really is that fucking bad. And they're like, we're stuck with the old guy. They had every intention of keeping him long term after they realized how bad she was. And then the debate happened. So, yeah. That is 2 nights in a row it's done that shit. It disconnected my mic again. I think somebody at YouTube is like, shut him up quick. Anyway, welcome back, guys. No, I'm seeing this thing. I don't know what happened here. Apparently this is a member of Congress that gets thrown to the ground. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to look deeper into it. Somebody sent that to me and there's no context given. All right. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'm really hesitant to do it because it's going to be going after a joke. And I'm only doing it mostly to be an asshole. So let me find it again. Bill Burr was on with Jimmy Kimmel because, of course, he was. Look, I think Bill Burr can be funny. But anytime Bill Burr tries to talk about current events, he just shows that he's an idiot and that he should stick with making relationship jokes because at least he can understand that. But when it comes to actual politics or policies or even just general intelligence, the guy's a fucking retard. No offense, Bill. But a lot of little beta bitch boys are out there sharing this clip around because they don't have the intelligence to make an argument themselves, and they see this guy do it and people clap. So they're like, that must be smart. So we're gonna have to watch it. We're gonna have to watch this. NBC will probably hit me for it, but they can go fuck themselves.
The winds moved, but the fire was coming and all that stuff. So I feel lucky.
Are you guys back?
And I think everybody did a great job.
He's talking about the fires, and he just said, I think everybody did a great job. Yeah, the fire officials who, didn't have water available in case of a fire, they did excellent work. Absolutely excellent fucking work. Now he's about to rip into people like me. And in fact, somebody shared this with me and said he was talking about me. That is a real thing that happened. So what you're about to hear is apparently Bill Burr talking about me.
Yeah. Unlike the internet,
Yeah, right. I know. It's right.
Oh my God. All of these fire experts. Why didn't you just fly a helicopter into the ocean? And then just, I don't know. Because
did anybody see anybody say somebody should fly a helicopter into the ocean? This is what they do to make it sound like you're more retarded. This is the horse medicine thing, right? They tell you to take horse medicine. Nobody said anything like this. And moron that I was arguing with when I pointed out that the ocean is right there and they ran out of water apparently thought that's what I was saying when I was saying they could have desalinized this shit and had water at the ready. But they're not smart enough to think like that. They're just like, you must have thought that they want. By the way, you know what they're doing right now? They're flying helicopters into the ocean, scooping up large swaths of water, 1,500 gallons at a time, and dumping it on the fires. But anyway, back it up so we can get his full point.
The ocean, and then just, I don't know, because there was 100-knot winds. You want to do that? You want to do that at night, you lunatic?
Yeah. The only time you can prepare for a fire is during the fire. If you don't go out there and get your water from the ocean when the fire's happening, there's no way to store that water in case a fire happens. Those big things we call water towers, they're actually full of air and dreams and rainbows. You can't prepare for a fire in advance. It's impossible. And we're all just people on the internet who think we know everything because, we've been fighting fires for hundreds of years. Thank you, Albatross. Oy vey boobala. Bill Burr, circa 2000 something. Look, again, I think Bill Burr can be funny. I just think, again, when it comes to current events, the guy's a fucking retard and thinks everybody else must be one too. This is, he already said something there, like, suddenly everybody's a fire expert. It has never been easier in the history of man to quickly become educated on something. You can literally pull up an article on anything. You can learn how to rebuild your car on YouTube, for fuck's sake. But suddenly there's all these experts. Well, a lot of the experts have been talking for a long time about the poor planning in California. It's not like this is the first wildfire that's ever happened in California. It's not like 4 years ago there's footage of Kamala Harris at the VP debate talking about the wildfires in California. No, this all just started. It all just started, and nobody can know how you prevent a fire. There's no such thing as forest maintenance or controlled burns or anything else that the rest of the world uses to maintain fires. How come with all of this climate change, Oregon and Washington aren't on fire? Mexico's not on fire. Arizona's not on fire. Why is it just California? Oh, but they have wildfires in those other places. Yeah. How many of them year after year after year after year are we seeing millions and millions of dollars burned away like clockwork? Anyway, sorry. Let's let him be funny again.
How are you?
This was definitely mismanaged.
That's a big word we're hearing now.
Mismanaged, like some idiot on the internet knows how to manage the worst fire in LA.
I don't know how to manage all of the fire, but I do think a good way to start would be to have fucking water. You fucking retard. Hey, suddenly everybody's an expert on managing the fire. How about the danger of the fire? How about logging? How about you've cut the logging industry by 2/3, so you have far more trees. You've doubled the number of trees per acre in the state. When you're telling me there's a drought, you know what happens when you're having droughts and you have twice as many trees as you used to have? There's even less water making it into the ground. It's all up in the fucking trees.
Sitting there in his underwear. You know what? Looking at the footage on the internet, I have determined that this here was mismanaged.
You know about helicopters.
And see, this is and I get it. He's trying to make jokes. But literally nobody's doing that. Nobody's going, yeah, I can see that the way that the fire is burning, they mismanaged it. No, nobody's doing that. They're talking about how the forests have been managed, how the fire department has been managed, how the water sources have been managed. These are all things that you can study, you fucking retard. Just because you can't read doesn't mean nobody else can. But listen to them little giggling bitches in the audience. He's right.
Copters, because I remember, and it's interesting now thinking about it.
I honestly don't care about this part.
You said that.
About it. I know about the one that I fly. Other than that, I don't know anything about it.
You know,
but if you're on the internet, you know everything.
I hope you know about.
I bet you I could learn how to fly a helicopter from the internet. Yeah, it's going to be a little different when you're actually in the seat, but I'm pretty sure I can. You guys do know they use video games to train actual pilots, right? Yeah, but you can't read about it. You know what you know where they get the information on how to fly things? By reading. But you can't do it because Bill Burr's too fucking stupid to read.
Because you said that you got your pilot's license in case like all hell broke loose in LA.
I don't really care about this part. We need to get up here.
And I love how all the chatter out there is about bands of illegal immigrants and homeless people lighting fires. They light fires every day. They're living outside, cold, and this theory that somehow.
So what you should do is have all the homeless people, and you have a state that, according to you guys, is burning because of climate change. So people saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't have homeless people and illegals starting fires outside. And you're like, it's cold. None bad could ever come from that. I fucking love this shit. Anyway, our smart guy's going to keep going.
A homeless guy without a car went from Altadena all the way to the Pacific Palisades. And then we have a hang glider. You know, and they're talking about looting. But CNN and Fox News are not going to bring up the insurance companies that are just going to keep everybody's premiums and still give themselves a bonus.
Yeah, let's talk about the insurance companies. Let's let this dickhead finish.
Yes.
Wait.
Free Luigi.
Free Luigi, the guy who killed a health insurance man, a CEO of a health insurance company. You need to free the guy who murdered him, because California has really shit insurance laws. And you know what's going to happen in California? Insurance companies are going to pull out. They've already started doing it in Florida. They're going to pull out because they can't. It's not just that they can't be profitable. They can't cover people. Here's what happens. See, California says, or an insurance company comes to California and says, yeah, with the models that we're looking at, we're going to need to raise rates in order to cover it if there's a major disaster. And the state of California says no. And so they're like, well, shit. And so then a major disaster happens, and as the insurance companies predicted, they don't have the money to cover it because the state wouldn't allow them to raise the rates. So yeah, they should have to pay out as much as they can because that's what insurance is. But this idea that insurance companies are just the most evil things ever is just nonsense. They've been villainized so badly. And yes, some of them deserve it. But for the most part, like what's happening here in California, and there's a lot of people who are not going to get insurance. Their insurance is not going to pay because there's not money in the insurance company for it. There's just not. There's a reason that in the floodplains, insurance won't cover your house there. You have to get federal insurance for that because it would be way too expensive for the insurance companies to actually move them into an insurance pool and have to cover it year after year after year after year. The problem with the insurance in California is, yeah, they're not allowed to raise the rates to cover the known problems that they have. The dangers that the government of California has put Californians in can't be covered with the piddly amount that insurance companies are allowed to charge. And so insurance companies are going to pull out of California. They're going to stop making new policies out there. And then they're going to be like, see what these damn insurance companies did? See what they did? They left. Well, yeah, because they can't do business there. They can't stay in business that way. Anyway, but they're going to give themselves bonuses. He's such a fucking idiot. And all the people who were sharing that around, like the one person who shared, like, he's so brave for saying this. Get fucked. That Luigi guy's a punk ass bitch. He didn't even kill the guy that supposedly denied him whatever inch. Didn't he get his surgery? And it wasn't the guy he killed wasn't even the insurance he had. People like, but insurance is bad. The news told me so. I'm going to go get my 6th COVID shot because they told me to do that too. Anyway, I just had to cover that because it's just so stupid. Just so stupid. Now, we had more confirmation hearings. There was the end of the Bondi one. And then they had a supplemental one today where they had some friends of Pam Bondi come in and they were asked questions by a few people, but it wasn't really worth talking about. So I think we're just going to wrap up here. Yeah, I'll talk about that one on my game channel. I watched a video yesterday. I guess it's yesterday now. This guy, he's one of the original developers of Diablo, and he has his own channel now. And he did a video titled "Game Devs or Devs Don't Know What Gamers Want," and it's a mostly good video where he's talking about, well, yeah, they don't know what you want because you guys often give vague answers. And there's some truth to that, but he lets them all off the hook by like, if you say you want better AI, what does that even mean? As though it's not situational. Like if I'm playing a game and the NPC keeps running into a wall and I say I want better AI, clearly I'm talking about, pathing. I'm not talking about the AI needs to have better conversations with me. But it was an interesting video that just annoyed the shit out of me a little bit. Dark Resurrect, thank you so much for that. There's $12. What they never talk about is that it was Obamacare that fucked up insurance. Oh, okay. Obamacare did. I mean, I've talked before about Obamacare was for the insurance companies, but it was for the insurance companies because they were forcing all of the most risky people to have to be covered. And yes, that includes pre-existing conditions and putting everybody in the same pool. And in order to do that, you necessarily have to get more money because these people are going to be costing you money. The way insurance works is you put a whole bunch of people together and then everybody puts money into a pool. And if somebody needs to pull from that pool, hopefully you have enough there with everybody's money that you can cover that without losing everything you guys have. It's a shared risk. And when you increase the risk, you're going to have to increase the pool. And that's what's not happening in California. And another thing they don't talk about is that a lot of 30% rejection. Yeah, but for what? But for what? Anyway, we're going to wrap up here, guys. Thanks so much for... Oh, my God, I got the hiccups. Oh, shit. That's a way to close the show with the hiccups. Thank you for coming and hanging out. Thank you so much for the... God damn it. I can get through this. Thank you for the donations. You guys are way too kind to me, and I really do appreciate it. And I do want to be clear. Oh, God. To those of you who disagree with me and stuff, I appreciate it. I really do. I enjoy a back and forth. I enjoy hearing your wrong opinions. It's my show. I can say that. I do really enjoy interacting. And I was watching Charlie, Moist Critical, talking about Elon Musk. He really hates Elon Musk. There's a controversy going around right now that Elon Musk isn't really playing his video game characters. Because he played Path of Exile 2 and things he should have known at his level, he just didn't know. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't give a shit if he's faking his video game playing. I really don't give a shit. But Charlie then goes into Evolved Potato. I did see it. I'll get to it in just a moment. I'm sorry I missed it. Let me do that first. Evolved Potato, thank you so much. The people that want to move out of California after the fires destroyed their homes won't be able to sell their properties because Newsom is making it illegal. Yeah, prices will be lower than normal because there is a massive fire and there's no house. Yeah. There's a worry that people were going to buy up all this land and it would be some corporation that does it and they'll do the thing where they'll only rent houses. Could it happen? I suppose so. I mean, property values aren't going to go down that much just because of the houses unless, they rebuild Malibu or Pacific Palisades specifically as a ghetto or something. The land value is still outrageous there. So I don't know how much a company is going to be looking into just renting houses there. But yeah, it's government fixing things and causing more problems. But anyway, Charlie's whining about how if you say anything negative about Elon Musk, then his fans will come after you. It's insane. You ever said anything bad about Moist Critical? I just find it funny anytime somebody who has a rabid fan base like that bitches about somebody else's rabid fan base. You don't get to talk about that. Shut up. You don't go after your own audience for it. If I ever catch you guys doing that, I will yell at you. If I'm wrong and somebody points it out, then I'm wrong. And I never want you fighting my battles for me. I'm perfectly capable and, no offense, funnier than you are. I can insult people with the best of them. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everything. You guys are amazing. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye now. At the end of the show, I sing a song. Sometimes it's about my pretty dong. Others tell me it's wrong, but I don't care. Bye, guys.